Who thinks Druski's skit went over the top? I want to know who think that. Who think his skits, his could have been record auditions? Who think he went over the top? Personally, I do not think that he did good at hosting. That's what I would say. I think Druski did an amazing job at hosting. So, and they talking about the 2026 BET Awards show. They got Druski. Let's see what they talking about.
Druski just did at the BET Awards proves the industry has officially brought him in. This year's show has to be one of the most blatant and obvious productions yet. The networks were pretty open with what they were doing. Today, we're breaking it all down, from the true meaning of T.I.'s King of the South performance to Druski's onstage antics, which went way too far. By the end of this video, you will see
his antics goes way too far. I want to know why, like how. I need more details.
Exactly what the BET Awards were trying to tell us. The BET Awards have always been one of the award shows the industry uses for its major symbolic events. They love having the fans participate in these broadcasts to amplify their agenda using the energy of the crowd. Another thing they use this show for is to announce their new chosen star to the world, the person the industry has selected to be the next up. This year's award was no different, as this is exactly what we saw. Again, we found strange, questionable imagery in the performances, and we also saw them show us who they have chosen. This year, Druski was selected to host the BET Awards.
I believe Druski was selected to host the BET Awards because look at his skits. Like, out of 10 Druski skits, how many can you say is bad? Let me know how many Druski skits they said, oh, nah, I don't like that. Out of 10 skits, my opinion, 9 out of 10. I don't know. I haven't seen one skit. I'm like, that ain't true.
Over the last year, Druski has become one of the most popular online comedians. His skit pulls in millions of views, and he is constantly going viral. His last two trending moments were his Mega Pastor Church skit and his Erica Kirk skit. Yeah. Both broke the internet, but were also very controversial and offended many people. Some claimed Druski was bad-mouthing people's religious beliefs, while others felt he was just holding up a mirror. I actually covered that skit, and I agree that Druski was just imitating the biggest figures in the prosperity gospel. I felt that people were honestly mad at the wrong person. While Druski was joking on these pastors, he was only able to do it because of their actions.
Look at this. How can you get mad at Druski? He's literally reenacting what he's saying that was legit a thing. You can't get mad at that. The flying pastor. The pastor is literally on a freaking string or whatever you want to call it, flying down to the podium while on his phone. That's not what God wants, in my opinion.
While I defended the skit for that purpose, I cannot defend what he did at the BET Awards. There is something about doing that skit during the BET Awards that feels so wrong to me, especially when you consider the rest of the show's imagery. While Druski was hosting the show, he was also performing his skits in between. He had a few funny moments, like when he parodied Jay-Z's Roots freestyle from earlier this year. He popped out with an afro wig and glasses and looked like a chubby Jay-Z. It was spot on. He also did his Could Have Been Records live during the show, which people found funny. All of this was expected,
that was funny.
But what felt wrong was that he started the show with the Mega Church skit. Druski literally opens the BET Awards by ascending on wires hovering over the crowd. He is doing his Mega Church impression and starts talking about walking on the blood of Jesus and impregnating other celebrities with the word of Jesus.
I get what he's talking about that. I guess that's kind of like disturbing to some people that's actually like religious, that's into God, like legit, not those fake people. You can't get mad at Druski, man. This is one of his top skits. You know what I mean? Like he just incorporating his top skits to BET. That's what we wanted. If we didn't want to see this, he wouldn't have never incorporated that skit. Just think about it. That skit did millions of views. Millions of views. Why not have that skit in there? You know what I mean? He might have said a few things he shouldn't have, but every time somebody go to a BET Award, Hip Hop Award, they always saying stuff like that. We know Druski was the chosen one for this year.
This rubbed me the wrong way. Now you may be asking, if I did not have a problem when he first did the skit, why do I have a problem with it now? I am not being hypocritical, but the fact is, this environment changes everything. When I did my video on Druski, I was not justifying what he did. At the end of the day, he was making fun of people's beliefs, which is wrong. But my point was, he was only able to do it because of the bad actors who used the church for their own nefarious reasons. We should not be mad at the man holding up the mirror, but those whose reflection we see in it. Now, when you do that same skit at the BET Awards, where everything is already so blatantly against those beliefs, it no longer feels like a mirror, but a direct mockery.
See, this one he's starting to dive deep into spiritual things.
Whether BET requested that specific skit or not, the effect is the same. The show opened on church mockery. Why else would they open the award show with the mega church routine?
Because I believe that was one of his top skits. I mean, it was funny. People think it was funny. Like, Druski ain't making fun of God. He making fun of the churches, the pastors that's doing these antics in their mega churches.
Of all the skits he's done, that's the one they wanted him to open the broadcast with. Award show segments like this are typically planned in advance between talent and production. Druski is told what is expected from him. So think about it, out of all the skits he could have done, why did they have him do this one, where he just so happened to be using Jesus as a joke? Some would look at this and say, this shows what the industry represents at the end of the day. They are always using these massive broadcasts to push things like this. Now, this also tells us something very important. The industry has officially brought Druski in. They have him doing things like this on one of their biggest stages. This shows us who the industry is putting front and center right now. Now, don't get it confused. Druski has been in those rooms for a while now. You don't make it to that level without some powerful networking. But the fact that they chose him to host the BET Awards and that they had him do this specific skit points to him being the chosen face for this season. He is the one they're using to lead the award ceremony. But when you place that Druski skit next to the T.I. performance, you see exactly why it changes everything. Once again, we see the same visual symbolic tropes that have become expected from these award shows, like dark red lighting with flames and very specific visual imagery. To an average person who doesn't really examine the themes on display, they see a grand performance by a South hip-hop legend. But to anyone who understands the language of symbols, you instantly see a complete different story.
I do believe in some sacrifices. I definitely do. You know what I mean? Like, it's my true belief, bro. I believe people do get sacrificed for somebody else good. Like, it always seems like every single time a rapper, singer, actor, mostly entertainment, so mostly rappers, every single time they get big, it's because somebody close to them passed away. I always see that, and that's just my theory. And it's always somebody close to him. It's never like a grandma. Then, like, she lived 102 years and she passed away and he getting famous. It's always like his best friend, his sister's mom, brother's dad. And then next thing you know, they just shoot up to stardom. You know what I mean? So I do believe in sacrifice. I do.
The set was called the King of the South performance. T.I. performed some of his biggest hits while his son made a guest appearance. But, just like always, we can spot certain imagery that tells us something else entirely. First, let's talk about the symbolism of the king and the crown. The crown and the entire king label ties back to King Solomon. In many ancient traditions, King Solomon is seen as a symbol of the ultimate builder. Some groups built their entire ideology around King Solomon's teaching and becoming the great master builder. They incorporate building tools to their symbols to represent this. While Solomon built the temple for God, these groups use his symbol for building their own inner temple. Those who study this think that by mastering this technique, they can reshape their own reality and in turn affect reality itself. Essentially, they become the architects of their own temples. They often use symbols like the square and compasses to represent this imagery.
I don't study the Greek god and all the other stuff behind it, but so I can't say too much on it. I'm talking about right now, I don't believe in that stuff.
If we look at T.I.'s performance, it appears these symbols could have been incorporated for this very reason. Look at this still from the broadcast. T.I. is standing inside a squared circle. Inside that squared circle, we see the words King of the South. This is all connected to this symbol here, known as the symbol of the magnum opus. It is a symbol tied to these beliefs surrounding King Solomon. The meaning of this symbol is a person who has become an ultimate builder and achieved the magnum opus. They have become the king of their own temple. We can also find plenty of black and white imagery, which again ties back to this entire idea. Look at how they show T.I. He is performing in the middle of a glowing circle that is on the floor. When you combine all that imagery together, you cannot unsee it. Now, if you pay attention to the stage at this very moment, you can see they incorporated similar imagery into the set design.
You gotta study this stuff. You gotta look deep into the stuff. I don't really look in deep into it. I just know T.I. one of my favorite rappers, and that was a damn good performance.
Attention. because the imagery tells the story openly. We have Ti sitting in the middle of the squared circle. This symbol closely mimics the symbol for the magnum opus. The entire time, Ti is performing on a literal square. Like I already said, the square is a symbol associated with these teachings. Pay attention to how they position the square in the diamond position. This is because the square encompasses fit tightly inside that diamond.
Wow,
if you look at this
deep.
moment here, Ti is literally performing over what seems to be the symbol known as the Seal of Solomon. We can also see that behind them, they show this text on the Jumbotron. Now, I don't know why it's there. If you guys have any theories, let me know below. I found it very interesting they included that phrase. Now, my interpretation of the rest of this imagery is that they're presenting Ti as a King Solomon archetype, a man who has completed the magnum opus and has risen to the level of a master builder.
That's pretty clever, yo. I ain't gonna cap. That's pretty clever of him to come up with that theory. But I believe they made the center red fires because that red is may grab people's attention. If you see a lot of like red signs, they grab the stop sign, that grabs your attention. The McDonald's sign, that grabs your attention. So I honestly feel like red is an attention grabber.
It can be interpreted as a man who built his own temple following these teachings. That is exactly why they have him coming down on the crown down to the square. Why he performs on the symbol that represents the magnum opus. I think it's quite telling that BET used this specific imagery during his performance. You might argue that they could have been using this imagery for another reason. The crown can simply represent that he is the king of the South. Ti has always referred to himself as the king, so that could definitely be true. But that same imagery also has a secondary symbolic meaning. Considering the observable influence the esoteric has had on the industries, to me, it is easy to believe they use these symbols for more than one meaning. The average person sees only the surface level understanding. It is a crown and he is a king, while others who understand the deeper meaning see a grand magnum opus transformation. You tell me, why else use this imagery? Now, I do not know if Ti chose this imagery or if it was those who put the show together. For all we know, Ti doesn't even know what it all means. But for whatever reason, the industry loves using this exact same imagery every year. I covered the BET Awards over the last few years, and we saw the exact same things. Last year, they had gospel artist Kirk Franklin being humiliated by Kevin Hart on stage. Again, it had that same mock the church energy just like we saw with Druski this year. Then we had that strange dark performance with Taraji P. Henson that everyone agrees was just scary. The year before that, it was Will Smith, and just like we see with Ti, he was utilizing the exact same imagery.
I ain't gonna lie, I did not know all this. Whoever this YouTuber is, he got me thinking now. He got me thinking on these theories that they might be real, they might be true. I ain't gonna lie, I must gotta watch the BT Awards again from the past 5 years. This dude owns something.
Will Smith was performing in the circle with the flames and all the bells and whistles. This has become common imagery for these shows. Who knows? Maybe the stars do not know what it all means and they just show up for the promo or the paycheck. But I still think it's quite interesting that every time it is exactly the same. When you step back and look at the entire broadcast, it all starts to connect. You have Druski being officially brought in, opening the show with a skit that makes fun of the church, cementing his new status on their biggest stage. Then you have Ti performing inside that specific stage geometry, using the exact same imagery we see them repeat year after year.
Honestly, I think that that theory with the BT words, how dark and deep and secretive things are, I believe in that a little bit, because I do believe that you have to do something for somebody to get to a certain position in life. You always got that one person at work that you know for sure that if the boss asks him to do something or her to do something, they run to do it. Every time the boss, hey, I need you to go get me coffee and hamburger from McDonald's. Yes, sir. They going to get it. But the people that do that, they call them brown nose ass kissers. You notice the people that do that, they the next up in line. So is it a good price they have to pay? In my opinion, I think it's a good price. I don't care, man. At this age I'm at right now, man, I feel like if my boss tell me, hey, I need you to go do this, I need you to go do that, unless it's something reasonable. I'm not doing nothing character, but I will do something reasonable. If I want that promotion, hey, listen, I'm gonna do what I gotta do. Let me know what you think in the comments, man. Like this video.